been recording, I've not.
Yeah, sorry, go on.
That's all right. I've not really come across this where I can't quite work out why one mix, well, it's only one mix anyway, but
Yeah,
why on SoundCloud, that platform, it sounds good to my ears.
yeah,
The other ones, it doesn't. So anyway, I've made a decision. Um, I've started to remix it, and I'm probably going to have to re-record some of the music, some of the keyboard stuff. The guitar's okay, and the bass. But
right.
anyway, so it's a bit of a long drawn out one, and I'm trying to fit it in with other things. But yeah, I'll redo it because at the end of the day, I know that I do have a bit of a perfectionist side to me, which I knew when I put this up because of this
Yeah,
different sound on the platforms. I knew I wasn't going to be satisfied with it. And if you probably know yourself, if you're not happy with how something comes out, you're
yeah,
never going to be happy with it. If ever you listen to it, it's going to be, you know. So anyway, I'm redoing that. So that's something I've been working on. But otherwise, yeah, not too bad. Thanks. Not too bad.
yeah. I'll tell you what I noticed about these platforms. So there's a platform called hang on, let's just check. It's quite a new platform and it's called Stereo.
Stereo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so Stereo, yeah. And and you
I'll
know
write that down.
yeah, yeah, Stereo. So it's just the like stereo spell.
Yeah.
Right. So when I because I've got these because what I do now, I don't know if you've noticed it. So I get like clips, different clips, like 30 seconds clips, and I put music.
Yeah. I do notice. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, when I post it on other sites and I listen to it, it doesn't sound as good as it sounds on stereo.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I've
Doesn't make sense, really.
yeah, well, not
Yeah.
because yeah, probably because it's called stereo, but it's very defined.
Yeah.
It's got crisp sound when you listen to it on stereo. And,
Right.
and whereas when I listen to it on TikTok, it doesn't sound like
The
uh,
same.
yeah, so the only way that I can describe it is when I put it on TikTok, it sounds like an MP3 format.
Right. Yeah.
Then when I put it on stereo, it sounds like a wave format,
Right.
So I don't know why. So these platforms might have,
No,
maybe that
they
might,
differ a bit. Yeah.
yeah. So they might differ a bit. And so the only advice that I can give is it probably costs you more in the long run, but try to put it in wave format.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so wave
That's
format,
another option.
yeah, it always sounds better,
It's consistent. Yeah.
but it's more size in it's it takes more space, so it's bigger,
Yeah.
it's larger
Right.
in size. That's the only downside. That's the only downside of it. So if you're,
Yeah.
say for instance, if you're putting it on SoundCloud, yeah,
Mm.
SoundCloud. Now SoundCloud, unless you have the premium one,
Which I do. Yeah.
all right. So yeah, that's fine then. Yeah, yeah. If you have a premium subscription on SoundCloud, just put it on Wave. There's no,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's what you're paying for anyway. You're paying for the space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
As I
So
say, on SoundCloud, it sounds as I heard the mix originally. So it just seems to be a better platform to put it on. But I've never really had this issue before. I generally am happy with a mix when I'm happy with it.
yeah,
I then proceed on the different platforms, and nothing changes. But this definitely sounded different.
yeah,
Anyway, I'm resolving it, so no
yeah.
problem.
It does happen, don't it?
It
Yeah,
does. It
I've had,
does. Yeah.
yeah, I've had that issue so many times. Where
Yeah.
where I finish a song and I listen to it and it sounds great. And then I listen
Mm.
to it the next day, and I'm thinking, what?
I know. I know what you mean. Yeah. Could be our ears, I suppose.
And I'm thinking, what have I done? Yeah. So but it could be one of those.
It
Yeah,
could be. Yeah.
What do you use to mix? What software? Do you use a software or do you have a hardware?
No, I mean, it's not overly sophisticated. I have a Tascam Studio, Porter Studio, which is the one I use most. I've got that's an 8 track,
Right.
but of course I can bounce together if I want to make it get more tracks. I've also got a 32 track Tascam, which I've used, but I don't use it that much. And in reality, I don't need a machine that size, but so I tend to stick with my one, and I still mix it down to a CD and then convert it to MP3, or sometimes I'll put it on a Wii transfer if I'm sending it somewhere.
Right.
But yeah, I mix it down to a CD, well, yeah, CD, and then from there the MP3. And it's a system I've used for a long time, and I'm relying obviously on the sound in my ears to mix it.
Right.
And then I actually play the CD on quite a good stereo system I've had for a long time.
Yeah.
And that generally gives me the right balance of the mix itself.
Yeah.
So I master it from there, and generally it works. I mean, sometimes I might need to do 2 or 3 mixes on the CDs, but usually it's the first one.
Right.
So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I just do it in that way. As I
So
say, I don't do my stuff through a computer, and I guess I've often thought I ought to perhaps get au fait with that. But
yeah.
as I say, I'm more concerned with writing good songs and then recording them in the way that I do.
Yeah, what I find out is you could get a bit distracted if you start going to computer and stuff like that. You get me? And then it takes you away from what you're really good at,
Yeah,
which is,
what you do best.
yeah,
Absolutely. That's how I feel. Yeah,
So that's a plus. What I was gonna say before I forget, if you got pen and paper, you want to write this down. It's called Band Lab.
yeah.
So
Band,
Band Lab. So it's one word. So like band and then lab.
yeah.
Dot
Lab,
Yeah, lab. Yeah, LAB. Limo
band low,
Alpha.
LAV,
Yeah. .com.
bandlove.com.
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah.
BANDLAB.com. Um,
BANDLAV.com. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
yeah, and what you want to do there is when you finish your mix, um,
Yeah.
it's free. It's free to use. Upload it onto Band.
Right.
Upload it onto BandLab, and I think there's about 3 or 4 settings that you can mix it on.
Right.
So
All right. Okay.
you can mix it on, and it's all digital. So
Yeah.
so it's a free digital mix. So you just go on there, upload it there, and then click on mix, and then wait for the.
Right.
So it'll show you the results, and then you can choose. So there's the CD format, and there's the
Yeah.
heavy bass or something, and then there's another one. And what it does is it gives you an idea of
Right.
the best mix for this, because what I found out with working with the sound is sometimes the instrumental that you generate
Mm.
it has its own sort of elements,
Right.
and and sometimes it doesn't go, some of them won't go with your normal vocal, so you'd have to tweak it a bit.
Right.
You'd have to
Yeah.
tweak. Yeah, because I get instrumentals sent in sometimes, and I make some as well. And sometimes when my mate sends me an instrumental, sometimes I use the same. Let's say, for instance, I've used the same like a preset.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
like I've used the preset to record 3 different songs prior,
Mm.
and then I import this instrumental into it, and I start singing. It gives me totally something. It gives me something totally different, but it's the same.
Right.
I've not changed anything, so that's how I know that the beats have their own
Yeah.
elements in them, and sometimes he just wants to
Right.
twerk it to that sort of beat
Yeah.
that you've created. So I don't know if that helps, but That's what I've
Yeah, I
noticed.
mean they do it for free. Do they not offer? Do they just do this service for nothing then?
For BandLab,
Bandlove, yeah,
yeah, it's free. It's always been free. I've been using it since 2019. It's just free.
right.
Yeah.
And you
So,
mix yours in that way then?
well, I used to mix mine in that way because I used to, because when I started recording in 2019, I started with
Yeah,
GarageBand. So,
right,
yeah, so I started with GarageBand on Apple, on a Mac.
right.
Um, and then when I migrated to Logic Pro, I was able to, there was um, more of the mixing tools that I could use because GarageBand
Yeah,